visit to London gave the devotees great hope for his recovery. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are reading 7th canto, chapter 7, chapter 3, text 18. Adraksham aham etam vidisharam mahat adbhutam damsha bhakshita dehasya prana hi astishu serate adadriksham maham etam te adadraksham aham etam te Hridisharam Mahat Adbhutam Hridisharam Mahat Adbhutam Damsha Bhakshita Dehasya Damsha Bhakshita Dehasya Pranahi Astishu Serate Pranahi Astishu Serate Adrakshanaham Etante Hridisharam Mahat Adbhutam Damsha Bhakshita Dehasya Pranahi Astishu Serate Adrakshanaham Etante Hridisharam Mahat Adbhutam Damsha Bhakshita Dehasya Pranahi Astishu Serate. Etante Adraksham have personally seen Aham I Etam this te your Risharam powers of endurance Mahat very great Adbhutam wonderful Damsha Bhakshita eaten by worms and ants Dehasya whose body Prana the life air he indeed as tissue in the bones Serate is taking shelter I've been very much astonished to see your endurance, in spite of being eaten and beaten by all kind of worms and ants. You are keeping your life air circulating within your bones. Certainly, this is wonderful. Purport His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It appears that the soul can exist even through the bones, as shown by the personal example of Hiranyakashipu. When great yogis are in samadhi, even when their bodies are buried and their skin, marrow, blood, and so on have been eaten, if only their bones remain, they can exist in a transcendental position. Very recently, the archaeologists published findings indicated that Lord Christ, after being buried, was exhumed and that he had and that he then went to Kashmir. There had been many actual examples of yogis being buried in trance and exhumed alive and in good condition several hours later. A yogi can keep himself alive in transcendental state even if he is buried, not only for many days but for many years. Very short purport. Adaksham ahanevate ridisharam mahatbhutam damshavakshita dehasya pranahi asti serate. Translation again. I have been very much astonished to see your endurance, in spite of being eaten and beaten by all kinds of worms and ants. You are keeping your life air circulating within your bones. Certainly, this is wonderful. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-Shalakaya Shakshura-Militang-Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing reading about the Supreme Personality of the Demons, Hiranyakashipu. He was not an ordinary demon. In fact, he was big enough to impress Lord Brahma. Many yogis in the past had practiced a lot of austerities, tapasya, penances, but they had not the opportunity to have a darshan of Lord Brahma. But this Hiranyakashipu was very special demon, and it is written that no other demon had performed the austerities that Hiranyakashipu performed. And there is a very interesting reason why he chose Brahma, is his Ishta Devata, and not Shiva or Vishnu. Do you know why?
Desire to have that control and monopoly, say?
Okay, there are a few reasons why. The main one is that Hiranyakashipu, he hated Lord Vishnu, so he didn't want to approach him for any favor. And another reason is that actually Lord Rama is a family member of Hiranyakashipu, because Lord Rama is the great-grandfather of Hiranyakashipu. not only on his father's side, but also on his mother's side. So he was a family member. So it's always better to ask a family member for favors, isn't it? It's more likely to get it. So there are some other reasons, like Shish Prabhu was saying, but these are the main ones, that he was related to Lord Brahma, and he was also very interested in getting the kind of blessings that Lord Brahmana normally gives, because Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they normally give material benedictions. But if you approach Vishnu, more likely you will end up losing everything and just get the best benediction, which are the spiritual benedictions. So for this reason, he wanted to be Sarvaloka Maheshwaran. He wanted to be the supreme controller. But he had also another big motivation to perform this tapasya. Do you know what this motivation was? For what? Yes, exactly. Because he wanted to kill Vishnu. He was fool enough to think that by performing tapasya, he could kill Vishnu. And why he wanted to kill Vishnu? Yeah. Because when Lord Vishnu came in the form of a boar incarnation, as Varaha, he killed Hiranyaksha. They say that Lord Varaha came in two occasions. He came as Sweta Varaha, a white Varaha, and he came as Rakta Varaha, which is a red color. Do you know which one was the one who killed? Tricky question. Huh? Yeah, good guess. Actually, when Lord Vishnu came as Sweta Varaha, he didn't kill anyone. He didn't kill anyone. The reason he came as Varaha at that time is because when there is a night of Brahma, there is a partial destruction, and the universe is flooded. So when Varaha comes, Sweta Varaha, he just lift the planet Earth from the water. But when he came as Rakta Varaha, he came specifically to kill Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu was very angry for these actions of Lord Vishnu, and he wanted to take revenge. And then he performed austerities that nobody had performed before. No one, no other demon. First of all, he chose a very special place. Do you know what that place is? I'm the one asking the questions today. He went to Mandara Mountain. And Mandara is a very holy mountain. There is another pastime in which we know about Mandara Mountain. Do you know which other pastime? Yeah. They were using the churning rod. They were using Mandara Mountain as a churning rod. And also many sages in the past, they went to meditate. Even the father of, what's his name? Father of Bena. What's his name? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, anyway. So many great personalities went to meditate in Mandara Mountain because it was a very holy place. It was a very special place. And definitely has an influence. When you go like Mayapur, Vrindavan, holy places, we find that it's easier to meditate in Krishna, to chant the holy names. this atmosphere, spiritual atmosphere, is very conducive to spiritual life. So knowing that, Hiranyakashipu chose that particular place to meditate. So he was standing on his toe, and he has his hands up, and he stayed like that for long time, 36,500 years. And this is in Satya Yuga, so the duration in Satya Yuga was how many years? 100,000 years. Duration in Satya Yuga was 100,000 years. So means he meditated for 36,500 years. It's only 1/3 of his life. But if the equivalent in this life, like in the human life, will be 30 years. Imagine that you meditate for 30 years. This is the amount of time that Hiranyakashipu spent meditating. And in Treta Yuga, duration of life is how many years? 10,000. And in Dwapara Yuga, 1,000, and in Kali Yuga, 100 if you're lucky. Only few people nowadays reach 100. So when Hiranyakashipu started to do this very heavy tapasya, what happened is that he started heating up the whole universe. The whole universe got heated by the power of Hiranyakashipu. So all the demigods, even this was even affected the Devaloka. Even the demigods, they went to Brahma and they asked, can you do something with this guy? He's getting too much powerful. And Brahma said, okay, let's see what I can do. So he went to see Hiranyakashipu, but he could not find him. He could not find Hiranyakashipu. You know why? Yeah. He was covered up by an ant hill. I have never seen an ant hill here in UK, but I've seen in other countries. I've seen in Germany, in South America, you have these huge ant hills. I remember in Germany, we offer a lot of sweets in the morning to the deities. But what happened when it was Ekadashi, devotees will not eat the Mahaprasada. So next day on Dwadashi was a lot of rasagulas, sundaes, nobody will eat them. Because especially if it was during the week, nobody will come and eat all these sweets. So what I was doing with my wife, we will take all these sweets and put them on top of the ant hills. And they were in ecstasy, eating all the Mahaprasada. And sometimes you see that I used to see small animals, they fell into these ant hills and they get immediately eaten up by the ants. So this was the situation of Hiranyakashipu. He was in this ant hill and it was not possible to see him. So with great effort, finally Lord Brahma saw Hiranyakashipu and he asked him, what you want? And Hiranyakashipu gave Lord Brahma a long list of the things he wanted. But basically he wanted to be immortal. But Lord Brahma said, I cannot give you immortality. I am myself not immortal. So anyway, you know rest of his story, how he asked for all this benediction that made him almost immortal. But very interesting fact is that even though he performed tapasya for such a long period of time, 36,500 years, and in the end he got what he wanted, but how long did it last? 5 years. Because Prahlad Maharaj was born, and when he was 5 years old, Nishinghade came and killed Hiranyakashipu. So can you imagine how foolish? Meditate for 36,500 years and then rule for 5. Doesn't make any sense. This is the mentality of a demon. Foolishness. The reason you can say, how is it possible that Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 when he was killed, and he was meditating for so many years in the forest? What happened in between with his wife? The reason is when before he went to the forest, Kayadu, his wife, was pregnant, but she made a vow that she will not give birth until Hiranyakashipu come back from the forest. So Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb for 35,000 years, 500, few years more, yes, less. And something very interesting happened, and something really relevant in the life of Prahlad Maharaj when he was a baby, that his mother took a shelter in Narada Muni. So she was, Narada Muni was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam for Kayadu every single day. But unfortunately, Kayadu forgot everything. All the stories, everything, all the instructions that Narada Muni gave, she forgot about them. But Prahlad Maharaj could remember all these instructions. So when he came out from the womb, he was already a pure devotee. So do you know, another question for you, in which category Prahlad Maharaj is? Is he a Nitya Siddha, is he a Kripa Siddha, or is he a Sadhana Siddha? You can think for a moment. That is correct. What else? That's correct. What else? Yeah, they are all correct. He was Kripa Siddhi because he got the mercy of Lord Nishingadev, personal darshan, and he got the mercy of Narada Muni. He was a Sadhana Siddhi because he performed a lot of tapasya as well, and he practiced very strong sadhana. And he practiced one of the processes of devotional serving, which is smaranam. And also, he was obviously Kripa Siddhi because he was also an associate of the Lord. So I'm missing one. Nitya Siddha, he was Nitya Siddha obviously because he's an associate of the Lord. And he only came to this planet to assist Nishinghada in his pastime. And he was Kripa Siddhi because he got the mercy of the Lord and Narada Muni, and he was Sadhana Siddhi as well because of his spiritual practice. So after Hiranyakashipu got all this power, he started terrorizing the universe, as we will see in the next chapter. But we see that all his endeavor was totally useless. All his endeavor for power was totally useless. Because in the end, after a very short period of time, he was killed. And in fact, we can say this is really extraordinary that his body was consumed, was eaten and beaten by all these insects and ants, and still he was alive. This is something quite extraordinary. And probably we don't see this kind of powers in Kali Yuga. But in fact, it's not such a thing. It's not such a special thing. We see sometimes in frogs. I don't know if you know about that, but there are some type of frogs, especially in Canada, that they can stop their breathing and they can stop the heartbeat when winter comes. The way they do it is that rise the glucose in their body with creating an antifreeze system that protect their organs. So when people walk in the forest during winter time, they see a stone with the shape of a frog, but actually it's not a stone with the shape of a frog, it's actually a frog which is frozen, but he's alive. It's like a real zombie. So when summertime comes, all the ice start to melt down and the frog come alive again. So it's very interesting. And we see that even a frog can do what Hiranyakashipu did. Even a frog. So it's not so glorious, all this tapasya for practically nothing. On the other hand, we see in the life of Dhruva Maharaj, we need to remember that we need to remember that Hiranyakashipu performed tapasya for so many years and he only ruled for 5. But on the other side, we see Dhruva Maharaj who performed tapasya for only 6 months, but he ruled for 36,000 years. So you see the difference between the practice of a demon and the practice of the devotee. Practice of the demon is temporary and practice of the devotee is everlasting. So we see when Dhruva Maharaj was practicing tapasya, he did the opposite to Hiranyakashipu. He stopped breathing, and then all the demigods start to suffocate. They also stopped breathing. But then they didn't send Brahma, they didn't send Shiva, they sent Lord Vishnu, because Dhruva Maharaj was in his heart a devotee, even though he had a material motivation in the beginning. He wanted to have a special place, a special planet, even bigger than his father. But because he also was connected to Vishnu, Lord Vishnu came and he gave him all his blessings. So this is the difference between the practice of a demon and the practice of a devotee. In fact, for a devotee, especially in Kali Yuga, there is no need of performing any tapasya. There is only one tapasya which is important for the devotee. Which one is that? Is it a tapasya to chant the holy name? Sometimes. Tapasya for a devotee is to follow Ekadashi. It's very important and it could be a tapasya. You see, in the life of many personality yogis, even demons like Hiranyakashipu, they could do this fasting for a long time in another ages. But in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to even fast. I don't know if you find it difficult when it's Jamastami or Kora Purnima or Ekadashi. I have a devotee friend who could not even fast until noon. Sometime I will see him eating 11:30. And I say, Prabhu, it's 11:30. You cannot wait half an hour more and break the fast? No, Prabhu, sorry, I cannot. It's too difficult. It's too austere. So all these qualities are lost in Kali Yuga. All this tapasya. But some devotees, they have some mystic powers. one mystic power I've noticed that some devotees, they can eat a lot. Special mystic power. I don't know if you have seen. I remember two devotees. One is from London, Kashinath Prabhu. When I was serving in Govindas, you know, the plates we have like these big, huge plates. I think we have some here as well. He will eat like this, no exaggeration. It was his plate, and it was like a hill, like it was a Mandara hill. Some devotees were thinking that, oh, okay, we are celebrating Govardhan Hill again when they see his plate. And I remember I was serving prasadam to him, and there was the people queuing up to be served as well, like customers from Govindas. And they were looking at the place with amazement. And they were like, they couldn't believe somebody will eat like that. They couldn't believe. And funny thing, he's very slim. He's tall. He's like 190, but he's very slim. He's like really slim, no belly whatsoever. He's very slim. So I was joking with the customer. I said, if you can eat a place like this, we'll give it to you for free. They said, no, thank you, no, we cannot eat like that. And then I have a friend also from Barcelona. He came one time to Govinda's restaurant in London as well. And he was staying in my house. So he was eating like this type of plate, like a hill of prasadam, and on top he put two portions of lasagna. For me, just to eat in the lasagna up to the neck, but he ate this big pile plus two portions of lasagna on top. And in the end, he asked for a glass of water. So we went home. Next day, he had stomach pain. And then he said something really funny. He said, Prabhu, do you know this glass of water really killed me? It was not the big pile of prasadam. It was not the big portion of lasagna on top. It was just the glass of water that gave him indigestion. So in Kali Yuga, there are no qualifications to perform any type of tapasya. So the Lord, being very merciful, he came as Mahaprabhu, and he gave a process which is easy for everyone. You can eat prasadam up to your neck. You only need to do is chant Hare Krishna. And you will get much more benefit than any tapasya done by the yogis or by the demons. You may not rule over the planet, but you will get the ultimate benefit of the human form of life, which is developed love for Krishna. And this is only possible by this Sankirtan movement. And even though it's very interesting to read about these stories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we know that our process is not the same. Our process is not penances. Even though from the same point of view, people see devotees as very austere. Oh, these people, they get up early, they follow all these principles, they chant all these mantras. They see it as a very austere life, but actually the life of a devotee is a blissful life. It's a blissful life. And the life of a materialistic person or the demon is a life of misery. So even though there is some tapasya, which obviously will not impress Brahma, but this tapasya is conducive and will give us the best benefit that we can get. So we just need to carry on with this process of Krishna consciousness, always remembering Krishna, never forgetting him, and always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Is there any questions, any comments? Dr. Prabhu?
saying that Prahlad was practicing Smaranam. So, is it possible to practice Smaranam without Kirtanam, without Shravanam? Because if you don't hear, how will you be able to remember anything?
Not in Kali Yuga. The Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, they were in Kali Yuga, the process is Shravanam, Kirtanam, and the rest of it. Even though there are some cases where one of the process could give, like we have example for each processes that they can give perfection, but it's practically impossible just to remember. It's not enough. Even following the others is difficult. If you just remember Krishna, it's not enough. Sometimes we see people say, why do I need to chant so many rounds? I can chant whenever I feel it, or I can remember Krishna whenever I feel it. But we've seen in the practical experience that these people, they don't do it for a long time. They cannot keep just remembering Krishna or just chanting whenever they want. It needs to be a systematic process. And in Kali Yuga, the main thing is to hear and chant. This is in other times we could follow just one of the 9 processes and still be successful. But in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult, very, very difficult.
I was just wondering, with Prahlad, he practiced Smaranam, but didn't he first of all practice hearing? Because he was hearing in the womb, and then later on he remembered. Is it possible? Is there any case of anyone just doing Smaranam? Because how could you do that? There'd be nothing to remember, right? You'd have to.
Yeah, they are connected. They need to be connected, because in order to remember, you need to hear first something that you will remember, and then automatically you will chant what you remember, and you end up practicing all the processes. But there should be a prominent one. And in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, the prominent one, because his father was a demon, he could not chant. He was not allowed to chant. He was not allowed to do puja. He was not allowed to do anything. The only thing he could do is remembering. It's like when you're, I don't know if you have experience, when you are in a plane or something, and you don't have a chance to chant because there are people around you. I don't know, at least I feel a bit self-conscious when there's people next to you and you're with the japas. So, or either you read or you remember, try to remember Krishna, or listen a lecture or whatever. So Prahlad Maharaj, because of his father, who was a demon, he could not practice anything else, so he had to remember. He needed to practice this. But because he was a Nitya Siddha and his guru was Narada Muni, then he could get success. But in everyone else's case, will be very difficult just to follow Smaranam and be successful in that process. Will be very difficult.
I also heard that if you want to do Shravanam and Kirtanam properly, then you also have to include Smaranam. Jiva Goswami explains that if you're just hearing, if you're chanting and just hearing, but you're not remembering Krishna at the same time, which it is possible. Sometimes the last thing on your mind when you're chanting Hare Krishna is Krishna.
Yeah, they asked Prabhupada, when we chant Hare Krishna, do we need to remember Krishna? And Prabhupada said, not necessary. He said, just concentrate on hearing and chanting, and the remembrance of Krishna will come automatically.
I was Just wondering if you could clarify as well. You were saying about this is the only austerity in Kali Yuga. Were you saying that the only austerity we can do is fasting?
Ekadashi, following Ekadashi.
Oh, Kadashi.
Following Ekadashi.
When I was a devotee in San Diego, we had a devotee named Jatila Mataji. She was a deaf mute. She could neither hear nor chant, but she was still given initiation. So it is possible in some certain cases. Also, I have heard Srila Prabhupada say that the austerity for this age is the chanting of Hare Krishna. So.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was just thinking in regards to Dr. Krishna Prabhu's question, like what's the case with Gajendra?
Yeah, he was also, Gajendra was different. He was not a practicing devotee because he was conditioned by his body of an elephant. He was not practicing Krishna consciousness, but because he did in his previous life, and he, at that particular point, he remembers Krishna, then he start to offer praise to Krishna. But it's not that his process through his life of elephant was to remember Krishna. He was not remembering Krishna. Only in that particular moment, when he was attacked, he remembers, like what normally happens when you are in a dangerous situation. We remember Krishna. I remember one. I don't know if I told this I ever said that in a class, that we have a Mataji in South America that she bloop, like we say, she left Krishna consciousness. And she was never in contact again with devotees. I don't know if she was eating meat again, but she totally forgot about, apparently she forgot about Krishna. And then we met her after some time, after some years, and she told us a story. She said that she had two sons, Bali and I forgot the name of the other. And one day she saw one of his sons had an accident. Somebody threw a stone on him or something and broke his head. And he was all covered in blood. So when she saw his son, she started, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. She started shouting like this. And she was astonished. She said, how did I remember Krishna? I forgot Krishna a long time ago. I didn't practice Krishna consciousness for such a long time. How did I remember Krishna? Because Krishna is the most, how to say, Krishna is always there in the heart. And it's impossible to forget Krishna completely because it's the most dear thing. It's like forgetting your father or your mother. You may not have a good relationship with them, but doesn't mean you forget them. And Krishna is everything, and Krishna is in the heart. So she was very surprised that she remembered Krishna and she called out for Krishna in that moment. So this is a case of Gajendra. He was not remembering Krishna all the time. He was just being an elephant. But just at that particular moment when he was in danger, he remembered, oh, Krishna is there. He is the only one who can help me. And then he called out for Krishna. But we cannot say this is an example of remembering. Process. Anything else? Yeah.
We'll see it later on. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna he enters the heart of every living entity. And because Krishna is never alone, wherever he goes, he's there with all his parts and parcels. So then it means that the entire creation is in every molecule of the creation at the same time.
Yeah, that's amazing. mind-blowing. Yeah, Krishna is always there. There is a, okay. Okay, last one. This about these Russian Matashis that they were traveling on the plane. I don't know if you read about it. They were going from one city in Kazakhstan to the other city, and then they had some prasadam with them that they gave in the temple. Long story short, and there was a person sitting next to them, and he ordered a vegetarian menu. So this Matashi said, okay, maybe we can give some prasadam to this guy. He is vegetarian. So he said, excuse me, I don't want to hear anything about you. Don't come to me. He was like very rude. And they didn't know why. I said, but you know, you're eating vegetarian. We have a lot of food handmade. You know, why do you need to eat this tasteless food from the plane? We can give you some nice food. No, I don't want anything to do with you. And then, but they didn't give up. They keep insisting, and they were enjoying. There was very nice prasadam. They were showing him the samosas, the different things. And in the end, he gave in. He said, "Okay, give me some of this," and he ate a lot of prasadam. And then he explained what happened. He was a devotee before. He was a pujari in London. But he also left Krishna consciousness. And he said, whenever he was in a situation like this, there was always a devotee offering him prasadam. Wherever he traveled, he was on the plane, he was on the train, he would always see devotees, and he wanted to forget. He didn't want to see any devotees, and he will see them all the time. And now this Matashi was, you know, like, and he didn't want to see them. He didn't want to eat. And then he became soft, and he again took up Krishna consciousness, because you know you cannot leave Krishna. They say it's like leaving the mafia. You know too much. You know? You cannot leave the mafia. You know too much. Anyway, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi.
His Grace Gandaki Prabhu ki jai.